Hi everyone. I wish I could say it's great to see you, but sadly I can't see you. It's been more than 5 months since we could meet all together, and we have been missing you and we have been praying for you. And we hope that you were able to watch Paul's video from a few months ago, and we hope that you will be glad to watch this video too. If you have got your copy of Mark's Gospel at home, we're going to be looking at Mark chapter 8, starting at verse 23. Do you know what this is? It's quite hard to tell, isn't it? Because it's very blurry. It's not very clear. Now that the photo is clear, maybe you could see before that it was some kind of danger sign, but you probably did not know what the danger was. It's important to see clearly, isn't it? You might remember that in International Cafe this year, we've been reading different bits of Mark's Gospel. The book of Mark, an account of Jesus' life. And the last time that we were able to meet all together, David showed us how Jesus' disciples were asking, "Who is this man?" And that's the big question that Mark wants to answer. We've seen how Jesus has the power to forgive people's sins, and he has the power to control nature. In the last video with Paul, we saw how Jesus has the power to heal people with really serious diseases, and even to bring dead people back to life again. I don't know anyone else who can do all those things. Do you? In today's passage from Mark, some people bring Jesus a blind man and ask him to heal him. This should be easy for Jesus, shouldn't it? If he can bring a little girl back to life, he can definitely heal someone's eyes. So what happens? Let's see. He took the blind man by the hand and led him outside the village. When he had spat on the man's eyes and put his hands on him, Jesus asked, "Do you see anything?" He looked up and said, "I see people. They look like trees walking around." What? That can't be right. Jesus has not really healed the man, has he? It seems like the man can sort of see, but like the photo, it's blurry. It's not very clear. What happens next? Once more, Jesus put his hands on the man's eyes. Then his eyes were opened, his sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly. How strange. Is Jesus really tired? Or is he just not very good at healing eyes? Why did it take him 2 tries to heal the man? Well, Paul told us in the last video that Jesus' miracles have a message for us. And if we read on, we find out what the message of this miracle is. Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do people say I am?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others, one of the prophets." It's the same today, isn't it? Some people think Jesus was a good teacher. Some think he was a revolutionary leader. Some think he was a prophet. There are still lots of different opinions about who Jesus is. But Jesus wants to know what his disciples think themselves, not just what other people think. he says, "But what about you? Who do you say I am?" Peter answered, "You are the Messiah." Peter does not think Jesus is a good teacher. He does not think he is one of the prophets. Peter thinks that Jesus is God's promised king, the Son of God, the one the Jews have been waiting for. Mark has already told us in the very first verse of his book that this is true. Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, God's promised king. Peter is the winner. He sees who Jesus is. Go, Peter. But what happens next? Jesus then began to teach them that he must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He spoke plainly about this, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, to tell him off. But when Jesus turned and looked at his disciples, he rebuked Peter. "Get behind me, Satan," he said. "You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." Wow. We thought Peter was the winner. We thought he saw clearly who Jesus is. But now Jesus says he's like the devil. Jesus says Peter does not see clearly who he is. And this is the message of the miracle. This is why Jesus healed the blind man in 2 steps. Peter sees that Jesus is God's promised king, the Son of God, but he does not see clearly what that means. He does not understand that the way Jesus is going to bring God's kingdom is by suffering and dying. The blind man needed Jesus to open his eyes, and he needed Jesus to help him see more clearly. Peter needed God to open his eyes to see that Jesus was God's promised king. But then he also needed God's help to see more clearly, to see what it means that Jesus is the Son of God. With the danger photo, we saw how it's so important to see clearly. And given what we have seen that Jesus can do and what he offers to us, there is nothing more important than seeing Jesus clearly. And we cannot see clearly who Jesus is by ourselves. So the question is not just, who do other people say Jesus is? The question is, who do you say Jesus is? Can you see him clearly? If not, are you brave enough to ask God to help you to see Jesus clearly? As you know, International Cafe is run by Parr Street Church, and all of us who run it love Jesus, and we love introducing other people to Jesus. And a great way to get to know Jesus for yourself is by reading the Bible. But we know that that can seem a bit hard if you have never read the Bible before. So we would love to help you to get to know Jesus by reading the Bible with you. We can meet up in a park. We can meet if there are just 2 of us in a cafe. We can even meet on Zoom or in someone's home if we are just 2 people. And we can read the Bible together. You can ask questions and you can be honest about what you think. So if you would like to read the Bible with us, please get in touch with someone from International Cafe.